Levine, and today I'm going to speak about bipolar disorder, depression, and addiction. So, this topic is so vital for many of us because when we go through a hard time mentally, we often search for something to soothe and help us deal with the struggles and painful experiences we are having. And in my own life, I have a brother, Adam Wachtel, who was a wonderful human being. He was so kind, creative, warm to everyone he knew, but sadly he battled addiction. And earlier in his life, it started with drugs like marijuana, drinking alcohol. It progressed to things like the club drug Molly, and eventually he started to do opiates secretly without telling my parents or me. He was living in Vermont at age 27, about 2 years ago, working at a ski resort. He went out drinking with his friends. He walked home because he didn't want to drink and drive, and he did one needle of heroin and died instantly. And I share that because that is what can happen when you have a mental illness and addiction and you don't get the right support. But there are also many of us out there that have bipolar disorder that figure out other ways to deal with our emotions than having addictions. And when my brother died, I really wasn't a big partier or drinker, but I stopped using any alcohol, would not do any type of illegal substances, and I found that it was hard because my brother had just passed and I had the emotions of losing him, but I had to face what I was feeling. I went back into therapy and talked openly about what it's like to lose your only brother. I shared with my family and friends, what I was facing, and I did everything I could to find healthy outlets to deal with my pain. So this includes exercising. I began 4 to 5 days a week doing workouts, going on nature walks, being outside, getting exercise. I found it was so helpful. I went to my local dog park, took my parents' dogs sometimes. I would take my children to the playground and socialize with other parents that were there with their kids. And I learned that, there are other ways to deal with addiction. And sadly, I think for many with mental illness, it feels so easy to have something to take away the pain. So I remember when I was first diagnosed with bipolar at age 15, I felt insecure, I was depressed, I was confused, I was embarrassed with the other kids. And during that time, you say, hey, what can I do to make this all go away? But sadly, the addictions only make it harder. And what I have watched is sometimes you will say, hey, I'll drink tonight to take away the pain. And then you wake up the next morning and you feel even worse. Or then you have to drink to do, something to take it away again. And this can become a very rough and hard struggle. And I was actually working at a rehab clinic as a therapist when my brother passed away, and I met many young people and adults that face addiction, and they shared with me how hard it was to break the habits that they had. Many had started opiates, maybe taking them as medicine or occasionally, and then they felt a need. They would get sick with dope sickness if they didn't end up having them. They said it felt worse than having the flu. Many shared that it was 100 times as bad as being sick with something like the flu, and they felt so bad that they would need the opiates. They couldn't buy them, so they'd end up using heroin. Many shared that they lost some of their closest friends. They were worried they were going to lose their own life. And it made me realize just what a hard epidemic this is for people with addiction. I've also had clients that I've worked with that have bipolar and also addiction. And sometimes they go to a treatment center and the people only focus on the addiction. They don't realize someone with mental illness might have behavior issues. They may struggle to connect with different people. So what I realize is when you have both a mental illness and addiction, it takes even extra work and effort. But there are people out there that are surviving, that are succeeding, that are moving forward. And I hope that happens for you. I want to share a book I wrote when my brother died. I was going through such a rough time, and I wanted to share the lessons I was learning about addiction. And I wrote a book called Depression, Bipolar, and Heroin, Lessons Learned from Losing My Brother to Addiction. I put my brother's picture on the cover the last time I saw him in California, and it's a really cool book. It shares stories of other people facing these issues, lessons, and a guide to kind of help anyone wanting to learn more about it. If you want, go check out that book. You can go on Amazon right now. It's exclusively there, and type in Depression, Bipolar, and Heroin by Blake Levine. That's my name, and I really think you would benefit from this book. It's a great tool. It's really helpful, optimistic. It has a lot of knowledge about these topics. And also later this year, my book, The Depression Diet, will be coming out, so you might enjoy that one. And if you want, like and subscribe to this channel, throw a thumbs up, share your comments, and you have an awesome day. I appreciate it.